Yo, what's up guys? I came across this team on Twitter, which was pretty interesting. So posted by this guy. I'm not sure if he's the original maker, but let's check this team out. And I think he was mainly just checking like, hey, does the Agrius still work? So I'm not sure if this is an older made team or a really new kind of team style. So we have the Tion boost the Teshar over here, but not boosted in the second wave. And then after that, we have a double turn on this Agrius. Then we have here a boost on the Teshar once again. And then we have the Agrius moving, boost to Agrius. And with that, you could potentially already kill, but he doesn't have a full kill. And then Deafness moves after, strips, Death breaks, and then kills. Is perfect AI range in that case. So therefore goes for a full kill. And it's about 24 to 25 second average. But what if I do this with more damage? And I can tell you already, this is not easy to rune. This is not for the people that make it easy to rune. This was a 22-second team over here. I've seen it run 21 seconds on my phone. On my phone, it's a little bit faster to run it in the first place. So we do clear it over there. I think that this Teshar skin is also faster than the Teshar skin he was using. Any of the other skins, I think, are the fast. I'm not sure about the Deafness skin, to be honest. But yep, those are the damages we do. Then I have noticed, I'm not sure if it's since the patch, but it feels like Agrius is more active on doing the S2 as much as possible. Not always, but he's doing it with a very good rate. So then we're looking at a 22-second team. On my phone, as mentioned, it's like 21.6 or 21.7. And it's always stable that, unless you have the issue where Agrius goes for multiple skill ones in a row, then Deafness has to clean up. If you go multiple skill ones in a row and then also the Deafness miss, you could fail, or you could get a pretty lengthy run. But since Deafness cooldowns are pretty low, and also the chance of your hits coming in late with just a speed buff and ignore defensing, it is still pretty doable, I've noticed. So yes, it does fail from time to time, but in most cases, it's just 22 seconds flat, while on my phone, 21 seconds flat, because for some reason, the Steam client just doesn't do it as fast. But let's look at the runes. Let me show you where it gets very difficult, and then we grab the notepad, and then also show what is needed and what are the requirements that you're looking at if you want to build this team. Also for this team, it is a lot easier to build if you have an Uldong, because the moment you can place an Uldong on the Deafness slot, yes, it's going to fail a little bit more, but it's going to make it a hell of a lot easier to run all of this. So if you have an Uldong, I think that this team is for either people with crazy good runes or, well, pretty decent runes. It's not even crazy good, just very decent runes, especially on fight. You need very good fight runes for this. Or people that have an Uldong. If you're one of those two, you can probably build this team. So let's look at the runes. First of all, we have a triple fight Teshar that is on 0 speed. Those two things are very important. We have enough crit rate over here. With the 6-7 crit rate over there, it's not crazy much of stats, but you need to hit at least 23k with the Teshar on an attack. And then you can just maximize that a little bit with those kind of things. You can put attack increasing effect on that as well, just to help out. You need a Tion on preferably triple fight that is plus 176 or more. That is a part that gets a little bit more difficult. Once again, if you have an Uldong, you can just go Swift, and those fight runes care a little bit less. But if you don't have that, I highly recommend to only build this if your Tion is 176 on triple fight. There are some slower pieces in here, such as this 14, but I also have a 32, 30, 30 over there, and then a 28. But this 14 kind of like averages it out. I didn't want to go all the way for the speed, but you need to have a combat speed of 286. The Agrius speed is variable, and I will showcase how that works in just a second. But you're looking at something along these lines. Fights was not a necessity on this. It just happened to be that the best rune that I had on the slot 2 was an intangible. And then this fight rune was just a fitting piece, so might as well just do fight while we're at it. And these are the other runes. We just go damage on wind. We have a little bit of speed increasing over here, but I'll showcase about the speed for him in just a second. This thing is just a triple fight, doesn't matter as long as it's just slower than your Deafness, and your Deafness has to be at least 150 combat speed, and then also has to be a double fight plus a will. If you go for Uldong, triple fight it. Okay, so once again, requirements, Teshar, plus 0, speed, 3x fight. And if we look over here, as mentioned, we have to do about 24k damage. So let me showcase how much damage I'm dealing with this set right now. Oh, wait, I can pause it, but how much is it? It was about 24k what I did right there. So I'm kind of on edge. There is a 3% damage up, 3% damage down. But if we look closely on this, I think it's about 24. I saw 26 on the left, but on the middle ones, you do a little bit less. So I'm doing about like 24 to 26-ish on this one. So that is just what you kind of have to do, 24k plus damage on S3. First skill crit damage does actually work for your S3. It's not that your first hit on your S2 or S1 does influence like the first hit for some weird reason. It would make a lot of sense if that was not the case, but for some weird reason this first skill crit damage did work for me, or at least this was the highest damage output I got on that artifact. Maybe someone has to double check that. If I was wrong in that, I'll put it in the comments. But attack increasing effect is the easiest you can actually put in that, and I pressed the wrong button to pause it, so we're just gonna go for one more time. Even double skill 1 clears on that, which is pretty easy over there. How much damage are we dealing? Man, that thing flies by so fast, but it was about like 25-ish K. So 24K plus damage is what you have to do. Theon, as mentioned, 176 on a triple fighter. Agris, I'll mention as last. Miriam is relatively easy, just triple fight. More speed than Teshar, less speed than the Deafness. And the speed is actually pretty specific, and I'll showcase that in a second as well, when we also talk about the Agrius. What's also very important is that your AC has to be max, so it has to be 24 on the Agrius for your accuracy. Otherwise, you're not gonna land the brand, and you kind of do need the brand. So let's talk about the speed of this thing. Okay, let's place the notepad on the top right. So what do we have over here? Teal moves in tick 5, then we have Agrius move right after. Then we have, because of Agrius picking up a speed buff during tick 7, we have it move again on tick 10. Teal move in tick 11, and then we have it move again on the 12 for the Agrius over here. We are currently looking at 45 extra speed from artifacts. You do already get 35 from just Miriam. Miriam in her skill itself simply gives you 35, so that's easy to work with. I currently also have an artifact that has 10 over here, but let's say you don't have that. And therefore we would be 35, and therefore you see that the Deafness moves in here, which is not good. And therefore you would have to increase the speed of the Agrius a bit. So you kind of have to play around with that. So depending on how much speed increasing artifacts you have, you can lower the speed on your Agrius. But on base, if no speed increase, minimum speed would be plus 150. But the moment you have more speed increasing effect, you can do less on the speed itself. That's just simply how it works. And it's also very specific that if you were to up the speed of the Deafness by just 1, you would have to up the speed of the Agrius by plus 1 or plus 2 again as well. So every time that you up your Deafness, you also have to up your Agrius. So therefore, I recommend just keeping your Deafness at a low pace, and that will help you out that way. And as mentioned, if you have an Uldong, just triple fight it. It's as simple as that. And then the whole Deafness mechanic doesn't really matter. I did also think about other units where you maybe go for an ignored defense. However, you still have to go through the shield, and going through the shield is kind of the hard part. You have a few other units such as a Jean that will actually go through the shield and the defense buff, but it's simply not that much damage, even though you can ruin this thing at like 22 crit rate. So let me show you a run of how it can go wrong. So over here, if we do skill 1, which is normal, you also have to have skill ups. Oh wait, this is important too. No, 1 skill up S2, not 2. Not full. This part is also very important, otherwise you would use the right skill all the time. So let's say we go skill 1 into skill 1 over here. We would have to do a 100k damage to kill it. So just a double skill 1, this skill 1 on a speed buff would kill regardless. So that's totally not an issue. Okay, so in this one, let's say we go triple skill 1. It is very unlikely from my testing so far, but it can happen, or you can miss your skill in the first place. So skill 1 into skill 1 into a boost into another skill 1. How much damage is this? Actually 91k. So 91k, if we look over here, we need to deal 190k. So that's definitely where it's not enough. And then we also do have a heal coming in, which actually boosts it to not perfect eye range for this skill 3. So if I were to auto it right now, it's probably like a 50-50 if it will actually send the skill or not. So let's just press it on auto, does actually go for it. And it's not even enough to kill. So that is where the run could fail, and the run could get a lot slower and those kind of things. But the thing is, since your Teshar is the main focus of this thing, the only thing that can actually mess you up is getting a stun on your Agrius. If your Agrius is permanently stunned, you will fail your run. But if the run goes like this, because you will always hit the Teshar, no one cares about the Teshar from this point on, you will still clear with this. So the odds of failing are actually lower than the team I was using before. Because the team I was using before was this team over here with the Debran here, which was running about 23 to 24 second average. If you did it with the Brandy, it was about like 27-ish second average or 28 second average. But you could kind of get fails based on you missing twice, or these things just simply not doing enough damage, those kind of things. Which in here, the main fail potential is your Agrius not landing a brand and your Deafness being resisted on the S3. Also, as I mentioned before, Deafness S3 has pretty short on cooldown. So the odds of it actually going for a skill 3 is very likely because the cooldown is just simply that short. So I am actually running this team for about a day and a half right now, and I've been really liking this team. So in this case, we have the brand in there, double hit on the brand, easy kill. That is just as simple as it is. So as long as I land the brand, therefore the 24 accuracy is 100% a must. Do not slack out on this. You absolutely do want to get your accuracy. Whether that's through an artifact on accuracy S2 or whatnot, that really doesn't matter. That's totally up to you, whatever you have as fitting artifact. That is just the way to go. But I would definitely say the triple fight over here, you could get away with not putting it on triple fight if you have a better Agrius. But as you've seen already, you want to add as much damage as possible because the preferred way is if you go S1, S1, S1 into a deafness skill 3, you still want to kill. Which mine in this case doesn't do because my deafness isn't strong enough or my Agrius isn't strong enough or the both of them aren't strong enough. But I'm also very confident that if you do this with an Uldong, you will get the same speed as I'm getting, but the rune requirements are a lot easier. Plus, I think there is a way that if you add enough damage from a Uldong, that if you go skill 1, skill 1, skill 1, 3 times in a row without a brand, you could still potentially kill on an Uldong, and that is actually where you get a 100% safe run, because the worst thing that can happen is triple skill 1, never a brand, because in the end, if you go for skill 2, the odds of landing that brand is way too high. You're not going to miss that. It's very unlikely. So in this case, we lack a little bit of damage. Doesn't happen all too much. We did actually miss the strip on the defense buff right now, but we will still clear after that. So it's a little bit of a longer run, but for averages that I'm getting on this run on my phone, which is like about a second faster, is about like this happening once or twice every run of 30. None of them actually did fail, or it feels like one in like 150 to 200-ish, which for Steel Fortress, by all means, definitely very fine. I don't mind about that, because Steel Fortress in the end is still kind of a shitty dungeon to farm. But it's getting a lot easier, and at least the Agrius thing still works. So this is a post-buff Agrius, or post-balance patch Agrius, I should call it. So in this case, we don't get the brand. How far does it get over there then? Yeah, this might be a little bit worse. Yep, we don't kill it. So always when you put on the recording, that's where it starts failing a bunch of times. Good thing about the Dasher skill 2 does also strip. So you could strip like a shield or something like that. So it's not common to have these kind of things, but the moment you hit record, it always happens a little bit more often. But most of the time, what is my true average on this? I would estimate it like 23-ish seconds or 22 high or something like that. And I would say it feels a lot less than the other team I was doing with the Deborah. The Deborah one, it had a good average as well, but it just had a little bit more chance of failing. And that's just the bad part about it. So in this case, we go for a bunch of skill 1s. Now we hit this, we don't kill once again. As I mentioned, it's kind of uncommon to not just straight up go for the kills. But the moment you hit record, or the moment in this, I don't know why it's doing that. We just get a little bit of longer run. So is what it is. That's the team. Credits to the original maker, which I'm, to be honest, not 100% sure who it is. I will leave the link to the Twitter post of the guy which I got the idea of this team from. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you do use this with an Uldong and it's actually doable with a lot lower rune quality, because I assume it would be a lot easier with the rune quality on an Uldong. Because as you mentioned, or as I mentioned before, Deafness is there just for the cleanup the moment things get messed up. But it would be better if I never need to have the Deafness there in the first place and just have another damage improvement. You could say use a Deborah, but Deborah only works on Death Break, so that doesn't count for a brand. So you only want to have something that passively increases the damage. Maybe a Lucifer can do that, but I think he will probably mess up your turn order as well. So the only actual good thing to use over here is going to be an Uldong, because Uldong also really helps on your speed scaling, because you're just doing damage from crit damage the moment you go for an S1 more or less. So for that reason, I think an Uldong is absolutely crazy. So I guess it's more of a showcase of a team of like, A, if you have good runes, or B, if you have an Uldong, and otherwise just keep running whatever team you're running. Kind of stuff. Guys, thanks a lot for watching for this one. See you as always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.